Hi guys, here today to show you a really kind of fun nifty craft idea that I came out with using a very unconventional product. I know a lot of people have seen the epoxy clays out on the market right now. Martha Stewart has some and there's a few other brands. Well, these pieces I'm showing you here today are actually made out of a very common everyday automotive material. Actually, these items here are either made out of one, quick steel, which is something you can get at any Walmart, Target, automotive store, or they're made out of what's called wet weld. Both of these epoxy clays are really heavy duty, sturdy materials. One of the reasons why I like working with them a little bit better than the epoxy clays you find at your Michaels or your craft stores. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Martha Stewart stuff is good and fun, but to me they chip and break a little easier, and the quick steel and the water weld really seem to hold up. So I have a few examples of some pieces I've created in the past, just to kind of give you an idea of how versatile the material really is. Here are some of my favorites, like this guy here. I know these are made using an iridescent powder, so colors may not pick up quite as well as I was hoping on camera, but still it's neat within its right. I absolutely love these earring set. These are my favorite with a little crystal accent on them. They're going to probably come up blue on camera, but they're actually a purple iridescent. You can kind of see a little bit of the color change going on there. Okay. And these ones were just brushed on with metallic powder. You can also paint them, which is where you get these a little bit more richer colors, like this one here, as well as my second favorite, this guy here. And all these are is just epoxy clay that I've painted with metallic powders, as well as some diamond glaze, which I'll show you later on how to do. Thank you. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started here. So here's the materials that I'm going to be using today. I have a mold. Today I have a leaf, really detailed, pretty leaf mold that I'm going to be making our pendant out of. I have an eyelet or a head pen that I've already cut down to size. I have some gems here for a little bit of bling, paintbrush, my all-important diamond glaze, a set of tweezers, Dixie cup with a toothpick for stirring, and the most important thing here, the star of our show today, tube of the quick steel. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with first with our mold and our quick steel. I also do have the head pen here because that's going to be really important at the final molding stages. So as you can see here inside my mold, I have this really neat leaf imprint. There's a lot of detail on there, and the one good thing about using the quick steel is it really will capture all of this little fine line detail that you see here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So when you get your quick steel, it will come in this tube, and you'll have this kind of plastic wrap around it. You really want to make sure that when you're storing this, that you're storing this, leaving the plastic on it. I usually throw mine in a Ziploc bag when I'm done. So I've already started using this tube a little bit earlier today. So as you can see on the quick steel, you actually have two different colors. And what you're going to do is when you peel this off, you're going to mix these two different colors together to start the reaction process. For the molding, it's really important to you don't want to put so much of the material in there that you're going to actually concave over your mold, because you are going to pick up any defects on the outside of the mold. I do have a few here on the one I'm working with, so I really just want to capture just this internal detail here. I'll go ahead and break off a little small hunk. And a little bit more. And it's important to wrap it back up, put it back in your tube, put the cap on, save the rest for later. Okay, so I'm not going to lie, when you're working with this stuff, it has a wonderful smell to it. One of the ways you kind of know that it's all well mixed is because the smell gets stronger and stronger. But you kind of have this marble effect going here, and what you're going to do is mix these two together until it's going to form a constant gray material. It usually takes a couple seconds, a few folds over, and You can start seeing already, just with a couple rolls, that it's already getting more and more incorporated. And it will actually get a little warm in your hands as the materials start to mix together. And the nice thing about this stuff is that it'll set up within about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, so you can start using it and decorating your piece almost immediately. And within a full day, it's completely hard. But you don't have to wait that full day to start, putting your paint and stuff on. You can do that right away. So you see here, my piece is nice and mixed. So we're going to go ahead and get it in my mold. And again, we're going to try to be really careful to not go too high up on it because I really don't want the leftover detail. I'm going to stick a small piece in there and press it down. And I almost think on mine I would rather have it a little on the back side appear a little concave than too much on the top. Okay, and then we're going to take the head pin here, and I cut mine down already. You can cut it before or after, it doesn't really matter. And before this sits, you're actually going to take it and poke it into the material just slightly. Now remember, I didn't put a whole lot down, so you do want to be careful. So in this case, I'm going to take a little extra piece, and I'm actually going to press it to the back, holding the pin in place. And you're just going to smooth it down. To form a nice, neat little back. Get rid of all the raised edges. So remember, you also want it to be comfortable to wear. And I'm still not quite happy where my pen's at. I'm just going to push in a little bit more, and I think that's going to be good. As you can see, I have that in there with my pen. In about 15 minutes, I'll be able to demold it, and we'll see what's going on. Okay, while we're waiting for that piece to dry, I want to go ahead and talk about a few of the kind of pros about using the quick steel for crafting projects. Right here I have two of my Martha Stewart epoxy clay resins. They do a nice job. They capture a lot of detail when you're doing molding. Each one of these was about $11 a piece. So as you can see, you don't really get a whole lot. I think I may have gotten one of them on sale for $9 and some change, but still, for $4, I got this entire tube of quick steel, which I will make probably about 10 to 15 more pieces than I will out of one of these Martha Stewart containers. And there are other brands out there. There's some, Amazon has some really good ones I'm waiting to play with, but just kind of, if you wanted to do a quick home project. So, okay, so it's been about 15 minutes, and my quick steel piece here is nice and hard. You can hear it. When it's the reaction is done and everything's kind of set up, the piece will cool off, so it'll start coming back down to room temperature. Right this second, mine still has a little bit of warmth to it, but it is hard, so it's going to be safe to demold now. So I'm going to flip over my silicone mold here, and out pops my piece. And as you can see, all of the really wonderful detail that it picked up, all the lines from the leaf, really nice, beautiful pattern there. There we go. Get some of that in the frame here. Sorry, guys. So it really did an excellent job of picking up all those details in that mold. So now what we're going to do is, I'm not really happy with the gray color, obviously. We're going to add a little bit of color to it. So that's where the pigment powder is going to come in. I've already poured some out here. I have a darker brown with a little bit of green hues, and this is my emerald green. I'm going to take my diamond glaze, and you're going to drop just a few drops onto that pigment powder. And when this comes out, it'll come out a little milky, but that's okay. It will dry clear. And take the ever so important crafting tool, your toothpick. And the first one I'm going to mix up is the brown, because I'm going to lay the brown down first. I'm actually going to use the brown to kind of go into the crevices and highlight the detail of the leaf, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my green down. Mix that up there, and it'll turn, and you know when it's done mixing, it'll turn into a liquid with all your powder. There we go. Okay, And I'm actually just going to take my toothpick and I'm going to go along the veins of my leaf. I'm just going to tuck some of this really nice brown powder into there, where right now it's a liquid. And I'm just going to roll it along the veins. Now, because I'm going to be painting the green over it, I want to make sure to really get this in there. So I'm just kind of blobbing it. It's not going to matter if it rolls over because we're going to cover it up with the green and it'll cover up real nice. Get that all in there. It doesn't matter if you get it, like I said, on the leaf. You just really want to pack it into the veins of it. Turn it around, get a little bit better angle on it here. And I'm just going to use the toothpick. I'm just going to continue dragging the Diamond Glaze with the pigment powder through the veins. This main vein is actually going to be the hardest one to fill, because you really do have to put quite a bit in there so that you don't see the gray underneath. I have an edge here, it's being a little stubborn. There we go. Nope, not quite. There we go. And there's some little nice side veins here. I'm just going to real quickly drag it over. Chances are I'm going to have to go back and re-highlight these. But if I can pack it into the crevices now, it'll still allow some of that color to come through when I put down the green. Okay, I just have one more side here. Get a little bit more of the color on there. Again, I'm just using this kind of like as a highlight. This isn't going to be the final color. And two more little veins over here to go. There we go. Looks like the Diamond Glaze and the pigment powder is all nice and pushed in there. Get in for a closer shot there. You can see that it's really pushed into the veins of the leaf, especially down the center there. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and lay the green over it. So I'm going to take my handy dandy toothpick again, and now we're going to mix in the green. I really like this green. It's a nice emerald, real bright color, so it should contrast real nicely with the dark veins that we did here. And since I am going to cover a lot more of an area here, this time I am going to use my brush. So I have a nice big brush here. Just dip it in just a little bit. And I'm going to tap it over the piece. Okay, and because this is a molded piece, there are some sides on it. I kind of want to flip it around and really just kind of get up under there. Make sure we're going all the way around the piece here. That way there's none of this gray showing. If you want to leave the gray on back, that's fine. I usually, when I'm done with my piece, I usually flip it over and just put a little bit of color on the back, just to kind of cover that up just a little bit. Because the quick seal is only available in one color, which is the funky gray, which it's not so bad. Really easy to hide. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. Like I said, I'm just going to put a little bit on the back now, because I will probably forget to do this later, so. Okay, so now the Diamond Glaze is going to take a little while to dry, usually about 5-10 minutes. If you want to do any additional highlighting here, which I do, it's a good time to do so. Just go ahead and put your feed in your darker color back down the veins. Just make sure that color pops. Okay, and a nice little contrast going there. Just a little bit more of that brown. Just kind of dab it in there just a little bit. And really these hues are just kind of giving a little extra texture, so it's going to look a little bit more like a leaf. Let me turn this sideways here for a second. There we go. Let's get some of that darker color to come out now. If you just feed your brush back over where you painted in, really lightly tapping it, you actually are going to pull off that green you just put on, so you will get those highlights back. When I'm doing my brush, I'm using it on the side. It's a really kind of, overall it's a fat brush, but on the width side it is really narrow, so it kind of helps lightly touch into those crevices. The ones on the bottom I'm not happy with, so I'm going to add a little bit more of that brown. There we go. Much better. So your piece is starting to take shape now. Have this wonderful little color. I'm going to let this set up, and then we're going to go ahead and put some gems on it for a little bit of bling. Okay, so it's been about 5-10 minutes, and the Diamond Glaze mixed with the pigment powder is set up on my piece. I can touch it now, no sticky residue. One of the things I did actually continue playing with while I was letting it set is I actually did add a little bit more of the brown color onto the sides of the pieces to give it a slightly more realistic touch to it, make it a little bit more like a leaf. I went ahead and the crystals I showed you earlier, I went ahead and I pulled out, probably about 6 or 7 of them. These little dots you see right here. I'm going to add a little bit of bling to this, make it sparkle a little bit more. Even though the pigment powder is going to give it a nice shine, I kind of want to add just a little bit more pop to it. So one of the cool things about using the Diamond Glaze is is a glue and also a mixing medium. So what I did is I just added a little extra Diamond Glaze to my green here. I'm going to actually use this to glue my gems on. So I rolled the back of my toothpick in it, and then I'm just going to knock that over. Just pick a random spot. I'm going to go ahead and start down here on the tip of the leaf. Just a little dab of the glue. Right here. And you can see on camera here, the brighter green areas where I haven't mixed any of the colors. And I'm going to take one of my gems, and I'm just going to set it right on the pigment powder glue. And it's kind of cool because you're not going to get any runny features with the glue going over, although I am going to put a gloss on it to kind of protect these later. But you can actually use the pigment powder already mixed in there, so it kind of makes it a little bit nicer. Okay, we're going to add a few more here. And you can use the brown, you can use the green. I'm just using the green because I had more left over. So I'm just going to randomly kind of put these in. No real rhyme or reason. I'm going to do one over here in the corner, and kind of one right here in the center. I'll do one more up here, and one right here next to the vein. And take my little gems here, and I do have a magnifying glass on my tweezers, only because this is a pain in the butt when you get the multicolored pack to try to fish these out. So I was actually using my magnifying glass to find them and pull them out. I got those ones laid down. I kind of think we need a few more towards the center of the vein here. So I have this kind of nice big wide area. I'm going to dab right, a little bit of it right here. Grab this guy, and drop it in, and I'll put one towards the middle over here. And I really don't have anything laid out. I'm just randomly picking spots that I think they'll look pretty on. Okay, so here's the pieces with the gems in place. You can see they kind of pick up and sparkle along with that pigment powder. I'll get a really detailed close-up of it after I put down the final glaze, because I do want to protect these. I'm really klutzy, and chances are I'm going to knock these off when I wear it. So I'm going to put an extra coat of the Diamond Glaze on there just so they stay put. So as soon as these set up, I'll go ahead and put that on there, and we'll see what the finished piece looks like. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. My glued on gems have set up quite nicely here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of Diamond Glaze on there just to hold them in place. Let's go ahead and flip this over and use a dual surface here. Okay, I'm going to take the Diamond Glaze and I'm just actually going to apply it directly to the piece. And I'm going to start from the center and work the way out. And like I said before, it is going to come out milky, so don't worry about it. It'll fade in real nicely. And I'm putting it on the piece because I want a heavier coat to protect these gems, because I really am just horrible with my jewelry. So I'm going to take my brush, which I did wash already. I'm just going to real gently start pulling the Diamond Glaze out. And the Diamond Glaze actually is has a doming capability of it, so if you get a really heavy concentration of it, you will get a nice domed effect on this. I'm opting to do a little bit thinner so the gems kind of stand out a little bit more. But I'm just going to tap it all the way around it, and actually when you put it on the piece, you'll see that the glaze itself will actually start to roll towards the outer directions of your piece. I just want to make sure I get all of the top covered, and I don't want it to just be on the gem side, because it does give it a little bit of additional texture and kind of raises it up off the piece. So I just want to make sure it's nice and even. Drag it all the way out to the outer edges here. Okay, and that's actually about it. We're going to wait a couple minutes. This is going to dry clear. Again, you can see the milkiness of it, but don't worry, that will all go away, and it'll leave all of your nice, beautiful pigment powders. So about another 5 more minutes, I'll get the final picture of it, and we'll be done. Okay, so it's been about 15-20 minutes, and the Diamond Glaze has, for the most part, set up. There's still a little bit of shine on there. It has a little bit longer to go, but essentially this is what my finished piece looks like. You can see, when I turn it sideways, you can see a lot of shine on there, and actually what that is the Diamond Glaze doming up around those crystals to protect them. But as you can see, it really made a nice piece, lots of detail on it. Got a few imperfections on there, but that's okay. That's what gives the piece a little bit of character. So I want to go ahead and make a few little quick side notes. If you liked the mold that was used in here, this mold right here that you saw earlier in the video, this is one that I actually molded myself. It is available on my Etsy store, which the link will be provided below in the comments, along with the colors of the pigment powders that I use. The piece as well is something that I will have on there. If you like it, don't want to make it, no problem. It'll be on there. If not, thanks for watching. Real quick though, if you like the project you've seen here today, make sure to like us on YouTube or subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching and have a nice afternoon. Okay, I have one last little note. If you guys have any questions or comments, I encourage you to please post them below, and I will get back to you. If you have a hard time finding some materials, I can give you a couple of alternatives, but thanks for watching.